Learn active and passive voice with teacher Miriam. If it's your first time here, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you don't miss any future video. And hit the bell so that you get notifications every time there is a new video. And if you enjoyed my video, give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. The passive voice is not a tense. The term voice describes the relationship between the verb, the subject, and the object. We use the active or the passive voice to emphasize different parts of a sentence. We generally learn the active voice first. Here is an example sentence. The teacher showed a film. This sentence, like many in the active voice in English, has the following structure: subject plus verb plus object. This subject-verb-object order, or SVO, is the most common structure in English, so you're probably very familiar with it. The passive voice is formed by changing the order of the active sentence so that the object of the active sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. Meanwhile, the subject of the active sentence becomes the agent of the passive sentence. So, the passive sentence will be, a film was shown by the teacher. Notice that the verb showed has now been changed to was shown. Both of these are in the past tense, because when forming the passive voice, we don't change the tense, we use the verb to be in the same tense as the original sentence and the past participle of the main verb. Notice also that the form of the verb be must maintain subject-verb agreement with the new subjects, as in this example. A film was shown by the teacher. 2 films were shown by the teacher. In the active voice, the subject of the sentence does the action. For example, John painted the house last week. John is the subject. Painted is the verb. The house is the object. In the passive voice, the subject of the sentence receives the action. For example, the house was painted last week. The house is the subject, was painted is the verb. Notice here that the object of the active sentence becomes the subject in the passive sentence. So the passive voice is used when we don't know who did the action. For example, documents were stolen, so we don't know who stole the documents. The passive voice is used when the receiver of the action is more important than the doer. For example, the pyramids were built nearly 5,000 years ago by the ancient Egyptians. So here we want to keep the focus on the pyramids. To change the active voice into the passive voice, make the object of the active sentence into the subject of the passive sentence. Use the verb to be in the same tense as the main verb of the active sentence. Use the past participle of the main verb of the active sentence. Take a look at these examples. Active, chefs use these machines to mix the ingredients. Passive, these machines are used to mix the ingredients. They renovated the restaurant in 2004. Passive, the restaurant was renovated in 2004. The teachers informed the student that the class had been cancelled. The students were informed that the class had been cancelled. Present tense passive is formed by is or are plus past participle, and we often use it for processes. For example, first the apples are picked, then they're cleaned, and finally they're packed and shipped to the market. We also use the present tense passive voice for general thoughts, opinions, and beliefs. New York is considered the most diverse city in the US. It is believed that 1 million Earhart's planes crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Hungarian is seen as one of the world's most difficult languages to learn. Skin cancers are thought to be caused by excessive exposure to the sun. To form the passive voice in the past tense, use was or were plus the past participle. We often use the passive voice in the past tense for events in history. Example, George Washington was elected president in 1788. As well as crimes and accidents, 2 people were killed in a drive-by shooting on Friday night. 10 children were injured when part of the school roof collapsed. As well as in many other situations when the person who did the action is unknown or unimportant.